Not feeling like you're the performer of the moment is, oh, it's fantastic. But you know, like, I've always been aware that those moments don't last forever. So enjoy it for what it is. I'd be versatile enough to move on. Otherwise it's not going to end well.
This flat?
Almost 10 years. Oh, it's a bit of a repository for all my stuff, basically. I was thinking about just packing it all up and just renting out the whole flat. I'm very good at, you know, cutting ties and moving on. Oh, I do like that suit of armour. I think I've got quite a European aesthetic. So I used to get a lot of work in Europe, and then particularly over the pandemic, I suppose as I get older, there are lots of younger performers coming up with my aesthetic. Sometimes make of that what you will. I think in general, as a performer, you are always comparing yourself to other performers. But it's, you know, it is always comparison, and comparison is always the thief of joy.
What is it that you bring that's different to burlesque?
The aesthetic, maybe the story. I suppose trying to get certain ideas out there. Moments of transformation. Usually there's always a moment of transformation. It's when one thing transfigures. There is the expectation that there will be partial nudity, and I find it fun to play with. It's not really a thing I think about. I suppose it's, you know, it's when you see art, you see a lot of complete nudity. It's context, but it's the moment when something becomes something else. I had to do some photos recently. I hate having my photo taken, and I was a bit like, all those ones in the armour, and I like those. I feel powerful in them.
Yeah, cool.
I feel like a queen.
Yeah. Who's the photographer?
His name's Scott Chalmers.
I see your Halloween photo resurfacing quite a lot, not just from you, just from other people.
No, it's got a life of its own.
Which is your favourite venue you've ever performed in?
Any stage, any matchroom. They're all very nice, and you've got a dressing room, you can spread out all your stuff so you know where everything is.
So, would you say that burlesque is an expression of sex-positive feminism?
Not necessarily. I think it can be. It really depends on the person. Its relationship to feminism is essentially the relationship with the performer. It can be positive, it can be negative, and it can be neutral. That's a very vague answer, but it's a very subjective question. It's not a monolith. I definitely say when I started performing, it was definitely more sex positive. It was before variety had come back. But the person that kick-started it, she used to work in one of those strip pubs. And her dream was always one day to have a female-run strip pub or club. And she was very sex positive. So I started working for her, actually originally doing costumes, but there weren't enough performers to fit the productions. So that's why I started performing.
So are most burlesque clubs male managed?
Most venues these days are male managed. Most commercial property is male owned, so as long as that's the case, that will be the problem. And often if it's your club, you get to fit everyone into it according to what you like. There are some shows that will just book people that like to clown around and take happy photographs for Instagram, and if you don't do that, they will try to book someone who does. But it's easier to be excited about something if this is the one show you're going to do this month. You've got all this energy that you've been saving up. If you've been doing 9 shows already that week, you've got to pretend it's fun or just make it fun all the time, and it's just very tiring.
Have you seen a move towards more female managed burlesque clubs?
No.
No.
No, that's the answer.
Okay.
It would be nicer if there were more women doing it or investing their capital into doing it, so there was more of a reflection of things that women also like, and also not just the same thing.
Would there be less focus on nudity, do you think?
Not necessarily, but I think there'd be more nuance. There can be less variety.
Have you ever felt pressure from the industry to incorporate more removing of clothing in your shows?
No.
Have there been any venues or clients who would offer work on the condition that that was a part of your performance?
Not to me, but yes. And some people are happy to give it.
Are you?
No, I'm a very awkward person. I think the more someone asks me to change an act, the less likely I am to do it. Battling mental health. A lot of times I wasn't happy. It's not like anything could change that. But I'm here. Maybe because I'm very good at disassociating.
Do you feel it has affected your happiness, this job? Hello.
This is some of my books. So these are scrapbooks. And it's basically every single show that I've ever done. All the print media. You're in there.
What am I doing in there?
You're at Bistro Tech and you're at Rock Cabaret.
I see.
If I had enough money not to... Or, I don't know. I think I have to work because I have the drive. I could be quite happily sitting at home and just reading every single book I own for the rest of my life. I had this dream recently that everywhere I went I was carrying around a very beautiful antique, like an Arabic perfume bottle full of olive oil, and it absolutely couldn't be spilt, but people kept trying to knock it over, and I think that's about you can't pour from an empty cup.
It's your birthday this week.
It is my birthday this week.
We put a banner up for you.
Is that for me?
I can't lie, it was for Huxley.
Oh,
But we left it up for you.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Huxley's birthday banner. A very civilised way of doing it with a cat on your knee.
Can you talk about the ways in which you find burlesque empowering?
So I think burlesque can be empowering in more than one way. It can be very expressive, and I think for a lot of people, and I'm not just speaking about myself, it's kind of being the change that you want to see. You see someone on stage and they're doing something that you would think would be fun to do, or someone that looks like you, and you've been seen, haven't you? And that's a great feeling.
Do you think it might be empowering in that it invites people of all shapes and sizes, sexualities and genders, and races and backgrounds to show themselves on stage and be proud of who they are?
There is a lot of crossovers with other forms of cabaret and drag, that they all very much inhabit the same space in a way that not necessarily all variety does. Sometimes mainstream venues, you think, oh, that looks like a nice place to perform, and they do have a mixed bill, and it does seem very diverse. And then someone that works there, they've had a really awful experience, and then other people going, oh, I had a similar experience there, and you had no idea, but I might not necessarily see it because I'm white.
Have you encountered much racism in burlesque?
Well, more tokenism. There are a couple of different collectives, like there's the Bit and Peach and there's the Cocoa Butter Collective. But someone said that she'd actually not met a lot of people that she was working with, because at any one time people would only book one black dancer, which shows obviously that there's a problem. There's always more you can do. Like if I hear about someone's had a terrible experience with a particular person, I wouldn't support that person in any way. I find London sounds quite soothing. Thanks.
If what appeals to you most about burlesque are the stories, the narratives, the costumes, then why choose burlesque over, say, working in theatre?
It's the accessibility. Like if you're doing a theatre production, there's a lot of people going for a very small amount of jobs, and then there are so many different hoops to jump through. Whereas if you create an act, you're in charge of every aspect of it, and you can get that to a stage pretty quickly and pretty cheaply. And I am also a fan of short form, not quite TikTok short form. I think that's incredibly harmful, really, for art.
Have you ever experienced anything that almost pushed you into quitting?
There's always something, whether it's stress or a difficult client or the show doesn't go so well, you think, oh, this is the last time. This feels like enough. But then, once the dust settles, you do it again. I feel very lucky. I've definitely done some unusual things, and it would be rude to complain. Be grateful, basically. Always try to be grateful. I know it makes for good kind of documentary stuff, but I don't want to be quite so negative. I think talking about them too much, it's a negative feedback loop. For people that aren't necessarily in that industry, then it's something to kind of to grab onto that brings everything else down. It overwhelms the joy that a lot of people have. Does it taint the art itself? If I thought people weren't happy at work, if they weren't happy doing the show, you feel bad for enjoying it. You feel bad for enjoying that art. I'd say one of the things that is not so great about working in this style of performance is that there isn't any ongoing mental health help. People are putting very personal, raw reactions to things that have happened in their life. Sometimes it's probably quite traumatic, and doing it night after night. I have seen things like that, like a breakdown on stage as people watched, and it's like a cry for help that goes unanswered. So that's maybe why I want to get out of the job of being looked at.
I don't blame you.
I do a show as part of Marissa Karneski's Show Women with an X, and my particular stage had She Endures on it, and I think that's what I'd like to think of for my career. She endures. I feel like one of these people.
How you feeling?
Alright. I'm doing a show, Candlelight Club. It's quite 20s, so I'm sure there'll be people living the Gatsby-esque fantasy. I'm hoping it's the right place. I think I'm next door. Yeah. Oh look, absolute fear. Here we are. This is my swan costume, and then I've got my night flowers costume.
And you made both of these?
I did a couple of necklaces Victorian. A lot of the electronics I get my friends to do now. Don't have the time I used to. I don't think I want to know my future.
So boost me up, my mannequin, I'll boost you up yours. Let's all stop together, like the Cambridge crew. When you're strong together, I will show you. Can I hear a cheer? Can I hear a scream? Okay, so you can make noise. If you don't make noise during the next 5 minutes, then you'll watch 150 people watching a woman take off her clothes in silence. Oh, that's weird. You will be stopped into silence out of fashion. Yeah! That's it! Please welcome to the stage the gorgeous Vicky
Sorry. Yeah. I think we always see our imperfections. And I want to go.
All it takes is to be able to stick around for 10 more years and then you're officially a legend. You're like an 80s heritage act that tours and gets its second win like 20 years after. Sway have done it.
I belong to you. I belong to you.
So, London born and bred, now in Rochford. How is it?
I love it here.
Yeah.
It's beautiful, it's peaceful. It strips out a lot of noise that you have in London.
You said that your performances include moments of transformation. So to me, magic seems like a logical progression for you.
Yes, I mean I've always used elements of magic in my act. However, I wouldn't ever put myself like on the level of like the training that's gone into that, being able to kind of manipulation, which is one of the my hands are never going to do what Oliver's do, but the moments of magic I think will stay.
So as a solo performer, driven to stand out and who likes having complete control over shows, How are you finding working as a duo?
I think for both of us, it's not the first time we've worked as a duo, but for me, it's my favourite time I've worked as a duo, I think.
Being a solo performer so many years, obviously you're kind of on the road and you're collaborating by yourself and you're your own director. But having someone else to do it with is a great exercise, because you're creating different moments and different magic and different effects. Plus also you have a different dynamic. If I'm on stage, for example, and I need to get something, or Vicky needs to get something, it's getting rid of that kind of like that, what I call the fluff, in movement, like taking words out of a script. You don't have to move to get something can give it to you, and therefore you have much more control of the audience. So it's a great dynamic, isn't it? It's really good.
There's so many things you can be doing up there that it's nice to know that there's someone else who's coming from the same direction. I think it probably makes me a bit more adventurous.
Because we're a duo, it's not like a magician system. We never want us to be like that. We want to have us both be equal on stage. So we're collaborating all the time. It's never kind of one person's harder than the other.
And what's that collaborative process like when you're writing shows?
We collect ideas and threads, and then certain things fit within certain themes, and we build things, we try new things, but often there's a mood that we're working to.
It's a great process because we both bring so much to the table. You're kind of like a very kind of fairy tale kind of burlesque performer, and I'm very much more kind of classical magician, so I always thought those two together would make a great combination. I think you've got to be on the same page creatively as well, and I think you and me are very much on that, and I think that's probably a very good basis for a successful partnership, I think, collaboration-wise.
One day, could the magic alone satisfy you as a performer?
I think definitely yes. That's a good question. Yes, transformation and magic. I think that's the thing that I'm always looking for, and however that comes, that's the moment that I like.
Well, you said you've always wanted to learn more magic and become a member of the Magic Circle.
Yes, I think it's something that we need to set aside time and for a vigorous training montage regime.
This is where we cut to that in the doc.
Chucking some cards.
In a hypothetical world, with burlesque and magic off the table, what would you be doing?
There's always another kind of performance. Those are two very narrow things. Any kind of live thing that you see, there is a magic created in that room by the amount of people doing it together. I think there is something magical with a K in that. What we really want to do is create moments in which people are taken out of themselves, and so it is, in a way, it's real magic.
So walk me through the next 10 years. What does your journey look like?
Let's see what comes. We've put a lot of work into individually achieving what we want to achieve. There's a few more things on the list, but if now was for some reason retirement, I'd be pretty good with that. As a duo, we have personal plans as well as work plans. Touring the show together, it feels like a family affair, and in our 10-year plan it would be nicer to make that more of a family affair. So I'm working on that.
Curious.
writing the book one day.
When's that coming out?
No, any day now.